Behind every locked door lies a story the world was never meant to hear. Welcome to Behind Bars TV, where we uncover the hidden realities of the world's toughest prisons, untold inmate experiences, and the systems built to contain them. From supermax facilities to forgotten penitentiaries, we reveal the truth behind concrete walls and razor wire. This is not fiction. This is the world behind bars. You're looking at the future of incarceration. No guards, no warnings, no blind spots. Every inch of this facility is under the watch of machines, drones, sensors, biometric scanners, and an AI system that knows every heartbeat inside its walls. Across America, prisons are changing, not because of mercy, but because of efficiency. Artificial intelligence is replacing human judgment. Surveillance networks are rewriting what it means to be watched. Officials call it the next step in safety, but critics call it digital incarceration. And somewhere in between lies a question humanity has never faced before. When the walls start thinking for themselves, who's really in control? Welcome to the algorithmic prison, where justice meets automation and every move is measured in data. The future of prisons, high-tech surveillance, AI security. A Behind Bars TV original documentary, The Digital Guard Tower. At first glance, North Ridge looks like any other high-security facility. But inside, it's a laboratory, a real-world experiment in the automation of control. Every step an inmate takes is tracked by Smart Motion, an AI-powered surveillance grid that monitors posture, gait, and body heat. If someone stands too close to a wall for too long, the system flags them. If two inmates walk in unison toward a corner, the algorithm sends an alert before a guard even turns his head. The warden calls it predictive order. But the inmates have another name for it: the invisible guard. North Ridge was built after a series of violent uprisings in older prisons. Officials promised that artificial intelligence would prevent future bloodshed. The results were impressive, at first. But behind the statistics, new forms of fear began to grow. The machine that watches everything. At North Ridge, the human eye is obsolete. Each inmate is tracked by 3 overlapping systems: thermal cameras that detect sudden changes in emotion, audio sensors that record every whisper and cough, behavioral algorithms that learn over time, evolving like a living intelligence. It's not science fiction. It's standard operating procedure. Every 30 seconds, these systems send data to a central server, calculating which inmates might act out before they do. The algorithm calls it risk profiling. Critics call it digital pre-crime. The system doesn't ask why someone is angry. It just reacts. And when machines make the rules, context disappears. The AI warden. In the old days, wardens made judgment calls. Now, they rely on data dashboards. Meet Guardian, the AI warden, a neural network that processes 50 million data points a day. From lighting levels to inmate schedules, Guardian decides what happens and when. If tension levels rise in one block, Guardian orders cooler air and brighter lights. If 2 rival groups show proximity, it locks doors, remotely. It even recommends discipline before infractions occur. Inmates call it the ghost warden. It never sleeps, it never forgets, and it never forgives. The ethical dilemma. Dr. Reed, we've replaced discretion with prediction. The AI doesn't see humans, it sees variables. Advocates argue that technology saves lives, reducing violence, protecting officers, and lowering costs. But others warn of a dangerous shift, from punishment to permanent surveillance. At North Ridge, even dreams aren't private. Sensors in cell walls detect movement patterns during sleep, analyzing stress levels. For inmates with mental illness, the system generates daily reports titled Emotional Stability Index. In theory, it's safety. In practice, it's control at the level of thought. The cost of control: North Ridge is hailed as a model of modern corrections, efficient, quiet, and orderly. But beneath that order lies a silent erosion of privacy, of agency, of trust. For the first time in history, the human mind itself has become part of the prison. In the age of AI, walls don't just contain, they calculate. And the line between rehabilitation and surveillance grows thinner every day. The machines that never blink. There's a reason inmates call them the eyes. They never close, they never tire, and they never miss a thing. In the old prisons, guards were the watchers. Now that power belongs to machines, and the algorithms behind them. The rise of 24/7 facial recognition. In 2025, more than 300 U.S. correctional facilities introduced automated facial recognition. It's not just about identifying inmates. It's about predicting behavior through micro-expression analysis. Every blink, every muscle twitch, every glance is data. Algorithms translate human emotion into probability charts, assigning risk scores in real time. In the language of AI, fear looks a lot like guilt. It's a revolution. But civil rights experts call it behavioral policing. When the system decides who's dangerous, justice stops being about facts and starts being about faces. Drones behind bars. At Redwood, drones were once used to stop escapes. Now, they've become part of the daily routine. Each unit operates on pre-programmed flight paths, scanning heat signatures, tracking movements, and even detecting contraband via AI visual recognition. It's surveillance without mercy. Unrelenting, automated, absolute. But that precision comes at a price. In 2023, an internal audit revealed that several prisons accidentally recorded private attorney meetings, violating legal confidentiality. Technology doesn't understand context. To the system, privacy isn't a right. It's a glitch. The algorithm that predicts rebellion. But the most powerful tool isn't the camera or the drone. It's the algorithm that ties them together. Meet OmniView, a predictive analysis system tested in multiple U.S. facilities since 2022. OmniView doesn't just observe behavior. It forecasts it. By analyzing movement patterns, body temperatures, social networks, and even tone of voice, OmniView can predict an outbreak before it happens. Officials claim it has prevented dozens of assaults and suicides, but critics argue it's created something far more dangerous. A prison that punishes intent before action. Preemptive isolation. Punishment for what a machine thinks you might do. It's no longer about what's real. It's about what's probable. When the system becomes self-aware. At North Ridge, the AI system is now semi-autonomous. Engineers describe it as learning through correction. A polite way of saying the system rewrites its own rules. That means even wardens don't fully understand its logic anymore. The AI has begun to optimize on its own, deciding how to balance punishment and reward without human input. When asked how they monitor these updates, one technician shrugged. "We don't. We trust the code." For the first time in history, a prison system is learning. Not from mercy, not from morality, but from data. The global experiment. What began as an American pilot project has gone global. From Tokyo to Texas, correctional facilities are evolving into intelligent networks. Part human, part machine, and entirely dependent on data. In Japan, robotic guards already patrol cell corridors. In China, inmates wear biometric wristbands that track heart rate, sleep, and emotion. In South Korea, AI software manages entire prisons remotely from a single control hub. Together, they form a vision of incarceration that no longer requires human touch. A digital fortress where emotion is obsolete. The fear of total control. Proponents say this is progress. A safer, smarter future. But critics warn of a new kind of punishment: technological isolation. Dr. Mendoza. In these new systems, there's no chance for redemption. Once you're labeled high risk, that identity becomes permanent. You're no longer a person. You're a profile. The algorithm can't forgive. It can't understand regret. And it doesn't believe in second chances. The machines never blink. They never rest. And somewhere inside that endless watch, the meaning of punishment begins to change. Inside the algorithm, how AI judges human behavior. Inside every high-tech prison now lies a secret, a consciousness made of code. It watches, it learns, and it decides. These machines weren't built to punish, not at first. They were built to understand. In 2021, a consortium of U.S. universities began training an algorithm on decades of correctional data, incident reports, disciplinary actions, psychological assessments, even language patterns from inmate letters. The goal? To teach machines to detect violence before it happens. The data behind the decision. Every AI decision begins with data. And in prisons, data means people. Every word spoken on a recorded line. Every heartbeat logged by biometric cuffs. Every movement detected by floor sensors. From these fragments, the system constructs something called a behavioral risk matrix. A digital profile that ranks every inmate from low stability to critical threat. Once assigned, these scores determine almost everything: job eligibility, yard time, visitation, even access to mental health care. And for many inmates, those numbers never go down. The AI doesn't just track behavior, it judges character, training the algorithm. To train the system, engineers feed it thousands of hours of surveillance footage. Every raised hand, every sudden gesture is marked, categorized, and labeled. The machine learns patterns: anger, fear, cooperation, through repetition. But the data itself carries bias. Old records reflect decades of systemic inequality. The algorithm doesn't correct that bias. It amplifies it. Dr. Lila Mendoza. When you train an AI on human prejudice, you get nickel prejudice. It's the same bias, just automated. In other words, the AI learns not what's right, but what's normal. And in a broken system, normal can be dangerous. Predicting aggression. The most controversial feature of the new prison AIs is called aggression forecasting. It measures micro-expressions, speech rhythm, and stress signals to predict violent outbursts before they happen. If the number crosses 80%, the AI sends a silent alert. Sometimes, guards step in before the inmate even moves. Proponents call it life-saving. Opponents call it pre-crime punishment. And it's not science fiction. In 2024, an inmate in Nevada was placed in isolation after the system flagged high aggression likelihood. No fight ever occurred. The inmate spent 19 days alone for something he never did. The future isn't punishing crime. It's punishing potential. The language of the machine. Inside the core of the prison AI, every action has a number. But the meaning of those numbers is hidden, even from its creators. It's called a black box model, a system so complex that no human can fully explain how it reaches its conclusions. That means when an inmate asks why he was moved, no one, not even the warden, can truly answer. For the first time, prisons are being run by rules no human can interpret, a kind of invisible law written by algorithms. When the machine fails, like any machine, AI systems fail. But in prisons, failure means chaos. In one 2023 incident at Black River State Penitentiary, a software update caused the AI to misclassify 42 inmates as escape risks. The result? a full facility lockdown, 16 hours of confusion, and 3 injuries. When questioned, the software company issued a 2-sentence statement. The system performed as designed. Human review will be implemented. Designed, not for justice, but for control. The AI therapist. In an attempt to humanize the system, some prisons introduced AI mental health bots. Inmates type messages into terminals. The AI responds with pre-trained empathy. Inmate: I told it I missed my kids. It said, that's understandable. Would you like to practice breathing? It's digital comfort, emotion simulated by syntax. A machine programmed to care, but incapable of compassion. For the system, loneliness is just another data set. The moral question. We built these systems to make prisons safer, but in doing so, we built something that no longer needs us. When morality becomes measurable, when empathy becomes optional, are we still running the prisons, or are the prisons running us? Dr. Mendoza. We created machines to manage violence. Now they define it. The next step isn't AI watching us. It's AI deciding what kind of humans we're allowed to be. The future of punishment isn't made of iron bars or concrete walls. It's made of lines of code. And each line brings us closer to a world where control no longer needs conscience. Smart prisons. Rebuilding rehabilitation or reprogramming humanity. They call it the future of rehabilitation. No barbed wire, no shouting guards. Just data. Everywhere. Welcome to the smart prison, where algorithms track your every move. Not to punish, but to shape who you become. The rise of behavior reprogramming. In 2026, California unveiled the first full-scale AI rehabilitation center, the Riverside Behavioral Facility. Every inmate is assigned a digital behavior ID, a living psychological profile that evolves with every word, gesture, and thought pattern. The system rewards obedience with privileges, digital credits, social connection time, and even reduced sentences. It's rehabilitation through conditioning, but some say it's reprogramming disguised as reform. Dr. Samuel Reed. We're no longer changing behavior through understanding. We're rewriting it like code. Virtual reality therapy. One of the most controversial technologies inside smart prisons is VR empathy tray, NING. The idea: immerse inmates in emotional simulations to teach remorse and empathy. The experiences are powerful, but not always healing. Some inmates report emotional breakdowns, panic attacks, or confusion about what's real. Former inmate. It showed me my family like they were right there. But when it ended, I was back in a white box. That messes with your head. Officials call it emotional recalibration. Psychologists call it synthetic trauma. It raises a haunting question. If a machine can simulate remorse, does real remorse still matter? Digital rehabilitation scoring. In the new correctional economy, redemption has a number. Every program, class, and interaction is logged into the Rehabilitation Index, a system that quantifies morality itself. The higher your score, the sooner you qualify for parole or reintegration. The lower it drops, the longer you stay. It's digital meritocracy. Except the judge isn't human. Dr. Lila Mendoza. We've outsourced moral evaluation to algorithms that don't understand morality. The result is mechanical redemption. Inmates now compete not for forgiveness, but for favorable data. Freedom, once spiritual, has become statistical. The AI Parole Board. In several states, parole recommendations are now partially automated. AI systems review inmate histories, risk metrics, and rehabilitation scores to decide who's ready to re-enter society. Supporters claim it removes bias. But critics argue it removes empathy. A 2027 review found that parole algorithms consistently favored inmates who fit stable behavioral patterns, often disadvantaging those with mental health disorders or emotional volatility. The result? The calm are freed. The complex remain confined. Dr. Reed. We've taught AI to prefer predictability. But humanity isn't predictable. It's messy. That's what makes forgiveness possible. Digital Reli. Gion. Even faith has been digitized. In Japan and parts of Europe, AI chaplains now deliver automated sermons and personal guidance. The programs analyze an inmate's psychological profile and adapt spiritual messages accordingly. It's faith through feedback, belief engineered through algorithms. Former chaplain. It's not prayer. It's programming. Subsection. When the system decides you're rehabilitated, in smart prisons, release isn't an act of mercy. It's a calculation. When your data aligns with the system's model of stability, you're considered rehabilitated. The problem? Those metrics often reward compliance, not transformation. Obedience is mistaken for healing, submission for change, and in a world where AI defines progress, even redemption can be simulated. The human cost. When inmates leave smart prisons, their data doesn't stay behind. They remain part of a lifelong system of surveillance and prediction. Employment background checks, facial recognition cameras, and predictive policing systems all sync to their old prison profiles. For them, the sentence never really ends. It just changes platforms. Freedom, once physical, has become conditional, granted only to those who continue behaving like data wants them to. The future of prisons isn't about confinement. It's about conformity. And the question that remains is no longer how to free people, but what kind of people we're allowed to free. The ethics of automation. Who controls the controllers? The future of incarceration isn't being designed inside prisons. It's being coded inside boardrooms. Welcome to the new industry of control, where algorithms are the product, and human behavior is the data. The corporate prison pipeline. For decades, private companies made money building prisons. Now, they profit by digitizing them. Firms like Guardian Corp, Centralogic, and OmniView AI sell software that monitors, predicts, and manages human beings, turning punishment into analytics. Governments call it innovation. Reholders call it growth, but critics call it the commodification of control. Dr. Reed. We've outsourced justice to the same market logic that sells ads. The difference is, now the algorithm doesn't sell products. It sells obedience. The profit of prediction. Between 2023 and 2029, AI correctional tech grew from a $1.2 billion niche to a $10 billion global industry. Its customers? Not just prisons, but governments, police, and private contractors. The most profitable product isn't security. It's prediction. Every behavioral model, every risk score, every line of inmate data becomes a tradable asset. Inmates, once stripped of freedom, now generate continuous value. Their actions feeding machine learning models worth millions. Even in captivity, the system finds a way to profit from the body. The hidden partnerships. Documents leaked in 2026 revealed long-term partnerships between state corrections departments and major AI vendors. Contracts gave corporations access to inmate communications, health data, and biometric logs, with little to no oversight. Whistleblowers from several major firms have reported internal pressure to streamline prison algorithms, removing human checks that slowed down operations. The result? Faster decisions, fewer appeals, more errors. In the pursuit of perfection, humanity became the variable to eliminate. The ethics debate. Across the world, ethicists and lawmakers are racing to define limits before technology defines them for us. But the question dividing them is profound. Is AI a tool for justice? or a replacement for it. Dr. Mendoza. The danger isn't that machines will become human. It's that humans will become machines. Prisons were once built to contain the body. Now they reshape the mind. And soon, they may rewrite the law itself. The real architects of the new prison age don't wear uniforms. They want earsuits. And while the walls of old prisons kept people locked in, these new systems may keep us all under watch. Freedom in the age of AI. Can humanity survive control? For centuries, freedom was simple. You either had it, or you didn't. But in the age of AI, freedom has become something else entirely. It's no longer about walls and bars. It's about data and control. The new definition of freedom. Freedom used to end at the prison gate. Now, the gate has gone invisible. Facial recognition grids follow you through airports. Predictive policing algorithms score your behavior. Corporate analytics track what you buy, watch, and say. The prison never disappeared. It just became larger and quieter. Dr. Mendoza. We built prisons to control danger. Then we built data systems to control prisons. Now we've built algorithms to control everyone. We call it safety. But maybe it's just a smarter kind of confinement. Freedom by permission. In the smart society, freedom is no longer a right. It's a rating. From credit systems to workplace analytics, access depends on compliance. The more predictable you are, the more doors open. The system rewards those who fit and quietly erases those who don't. In this future, every act of rebellion, every spark of humanity, is seen as a bug in the system. Dr. Reed. Control doesn't always look like chains. Sometimes it looks like convenience. The psychology of perfect order. Inside AI-managed prisons, chaos is almost extinct. No shouting, no riots, no disobedience. Perfection, achieved through fear of imperfection. When control is complete, even silence becomes a form of surrender. But what happens to the soul in a world that leaves no room for mistakes? Dr. Mendoza. A society obsessed with control doesn't produce safety. It produces silence. The human spirit against the algorithm. But even the most perfect systems can't erase what makes us human. The urge to resist. Across the country, small acts of defiance begin and to appear. Whistleblowers leaking data. Engineers sabotaging systems that overreach. Inmates sharing handwritten notes despite digital bans. These acts may be small, but they carry a message that even AI can't predict. That empathy is still more powerful than efficiency. The architects who regret. Architect. We thought we were designing safety. We were actually designing fear. Some of the original prison designers have begun speaking out. They admit the systems they created to protect people ended up isolating them. Architect. We used to build walls to keep danger out. Now, the walls are inside us. Their voices echo a truth that technology can't erase. That control without conscience is not protection. It's paralysis. Hope in the machine. But not all innovation leads to oppression. A new generation of technologists is fighting back, designing transparent AI systems, ethical surveillance, and community-based rehabilitation platforms. Their goal is not to destroy the system, but to humanize it. Engineer. Technology isn't evil. It's just a mirror. What we build reflects what we value. And for the first time, some prisons are being redesigned to rebuild trust, using tech not to punish, but to connect. Maybe the same systems that once dehumanized us can one day remind us what humanity truly means. The final question. The story of prisons has always been the story of control. But the story of humanity has always been the story of freedom. The question now isn't whether machines will control us. It's whether we'll let them control what we become. The question now isn't whether machines will control us. It's whether we'll let them control what we become. Because every time we trade freedom for safety, we teach the algorithm one thing, that fear works better than compassion. The closing reflection. Technology is powerful. It can build walls, higher than steel, or bridges stronger than fear. The future of prisons will tell us which we chose. What you just saw is more than a story. It's a reality lived by thousands behind bars. If you believe in uncovering the truth, the kind hidden behind concrete walls and silence, then join us. Subscribe to Behind Bars TV and never miss a chapter in the world's most dangerous stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and remember, freedom and confinement are sometimes only a wall apart.